Good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here with you all. I'm truly grateful for the opportunity to share about my story. My name is Anna. I'm 38. I work in nurseries and schools, and I'm also a life coach. I'm also a single mom to a beautiful boy, Mika, who's 8 years old. I'd like to share a scripture with you that has really encouraged me, and that kind of entails my story. He reached down from on high and took hold of me. He drew me out of deep waters, and he rescued me from a powerful enemy. From my foes who were too strong for me, they confronted me in the day of my disaster, but the Lord was my support. He brought me out into a spacious place. He rescued me because he delighted in me. It's Psalm 18 to 16 to 19. So growing up, I lacked a lot of self-confidence and self-esteem. I was bullied, and what people said about me, how they treated me, I took as truth. I thought that was normal. I did not value myself, and I did not believe in myself or my abilities, let alone love myself. I had no clue what that looked like. My self-love was based on what others thought of me and how they treated me. It was shown, if I was shown love, I would feel good about myself. If not, then I just would blame myself. In friendships, I would feel insecure, and I needed constant validation. I needed to see or hear them often in order to feel loved and appreciated. I felt safer with men because at least then I know I had to offer someone something, and that was my body. I chased after the most popular or hard to get guys to make them fall in love with me, as proof that I was wanted and loved. But if that didn't happen, which was most of the time actually, I took that as confirmation as a lack of value. I didn't matter. I craved attention from men as if it was my daily dose of self-love. I looked for love in all the wrong places. Friendships didn't last, boyfriends didn't stay. I gave my whole heart, and I just wanted the same thing back. I expected the same thing back. And this cycle of pursuing love, this craving of wanting to be loved for me, caused depression and anxiety to develop, starting with episodes of self-harming and even a burnout at the age of about 18. I wasn't even able to function properly. I didn't get out of my bed. I couldn't speak to anyone. I didn't want to leave the house, let alone see people or be around people. This took a couple of months. I had to stop working for a while, and after a couple months, I finally went through it. I got through it, but then depression hit me full force when my son was born and he was about 7 months old. I was exhausted and drained, in constant self-doubt. I became frustrated. I couldn't control him as a baby, nor his routine. He wouldn't always eat or sleep when I wanted or thought he needed, and it took its toll on my mental health. Being in control and on top of things gave me a sense of success, that I was doing a good job, that I was a good mom, but without it, I felt like a failure. It made me feel so insecure. I wasn't able to communicate my needs. I wasn't able to formulate them, always being in the habit of pleasing others. And if I did bring something up, I couldn't express myself properly. I wasn't clear enough, so I would feel still misunderstood. Again, feeling very insecure. I felt very unsafe. Because of all this, I wasn't even able to enjoy being a mother. I constantly felt I was failing as a mom and as a partner. Basically, as a human being, I felt like such a failure. I felt guilty for not enjoying motherhood. I didn't express these feelings because I was ashamed, so everything was just bottling up inside of me. And this turned into frustration and anger. Anger towards Mika, to my son, towards my partner, and towards myself. And the only thing that gave me relief was self-harming. If I would feel very angry or frustrated with myself, I would go to a quiet place. And then I would just take the anger out of myself. I would bite or pinch or punch or scratch myself or grab myself so hard it would bleed or leave bruises. I scratched my face. It was not pretty. I would blame my ex for not being there for me, supporting me or understanding me. I gave him the power over my happiness. I made him responsible rather than taking responsibility for myself. I was very insecure. So after we had to move house again, I started to get so fed up with how I was feeling. I began to do the things that I loved again because I stopped doing all the things that I liked. I started listening to music again, but I also started reading like soul-searching books. I went back to salsa as well, dancing salsa, which I haven't done since I moved to London. I started doing things again that I enjoyed, but I went too far. I didn't like people, including myself. I just wanted to be alone, do my own thing, work on myself. It made me feel very anxious. I was super selfish, full of judgment and condemnation towards myself and others. Lockdown for me was difficult because I had to be with myself. I had to learn how to be with myself. I took comfort in my soul-searching, that self-development journey, and I bought more and more books, thinking that one book was not enough. I had to get the other one and the other one. But I still felt very unsatisfied. And then I met Michelle. 3.5 years ago, I wasn't working where I used to work in the hotel. I worked in the coffee house then, and we clicked. She was doing a Bible study there. We clicked, we became friends, and she invited me to come to church. And then the Women's Day, like this one now. I went to both occasions, and I was literally blown away by all the love that was shown on these days. I didn't know how to handle it, and I ran back into meditation and self-help. I became quite content in that journey, and then I met an ex-boyfriend during the lockdown, and he felt like he was the one, even though he had a very complicated background. He read the Bible and spent time with God, but I still didn't get that God was actually trying to get me to him. And then at the beginning of 2021, everything changed. I wasn't doing well yet again. My relationship with my boyfriend didn't go well. The co-parenting relationship didn't go well. And then the homeschooling was a nightmare. I think some of you can relate. And one evening, after another stressful day, I just broke down in tears. I was like, I can't do this anymore. God, I need your help. I can't do this on my own. And I started praying and begged him for his help. And then that night I fell asleep with listening to gospel music. And the next day I started reading the Bible via the Bible app. And it just felt right. I went to church, called Michelle up. I'm like, hey, I need to come. And I just gave my heart to God. Having this relationship with God, I realized how selfish, how bitter, how angry and hopeless I had become. Letting go of finding my security in people, I relied on God's love. Building on my relationship with God, I still felt scared because I couldn't control it. Believing that he would not stay around and give up on me as well. I needed comfort and assurance, and not wanting the love from random men anymore or finding comfort in sex. I found my comfort in overeating, yet never feeling satisfied and feeling rather guilty. I took comfort in picking my skin and still trying to control my son. None of these worked, however, only for a short while, but nothing sustained. I had to learn how to trust God. The more I let go of controlling my life and let God be in control, the more evidence I receive that God is for my good. God gives me the strength to control myself and to keep going back to him. He is always there for me. He loves me. He hears me. He understands me. He provides all I need even before I even know I need it. He looks after me. He is my comfort. He is my validation. He has forgiven me. He has rescued me from this deep darkness, and he has delighted in me. He still does. And He is the ultimate self-love. I am enough. I am worthy. I matter. I am secure in God. He is my true joy, and He is the one. Thank you so much.